Hello, good evening, and welcome to Monkeys with Fire. How's everybody doing tonight? Hope you're all well. Hope you had a good weekend. So then, we are going to take a look this week at two brand new releases for the futuristic role-playing game Dreams and Machines. This evening, we are going to be taking a look at the Emerta Valo Setting Guide. I hope I've said that right. That's certainly the way I'm going to be saying it tonight. Emerta Valo. And then we're also going to be looking on Wednesday night at the campaign book that is set within this region. Our thanks, of course, to Modiphius Entertainment for providing copies for us to take a look at this evening. I guess we're going to hit some spoilers during the course of these two books, but so I will throw up the spoiler warning when we get to something that is potentially going to ruin your enjoyment of the game. Certainly there will be more spoilers for the campaign book than there will necessarily be for the settings guide, so we'll see how it goes. Alright then, let's jump to the table and take a look. So here we go. As I said, we have got the campaign book, Echoes of an Ancient Enemy. This is what we are going to be exploring on Wednesday night's show. So let's put that to one side for now. Good evening, Roger, just in time, just getting started, because tonight we are going to be looking at Dreams and Machines, Emerta Valo. I'm going to say Valo. Emerta Valo. Let's go with that. We've got some nice artwork to introduce this brand new area for us to explore. Let's see what do we have on the back then. So, the Emerta Valo Setting Guide, the latest expansion for Dreams and Machines, takes players and games masters alike deep into a brand new slice of the world of Era Prime. This book provides enterprising games masters with all the information they need to transport their players to the ruined streets of the City of Sighs and the wider Emerta Valo region around it. Also included are several write-ups on existing locations. Oh, here we go, I've got names. From Regis Castell, for you to use in your adventures, the Deep Woods Archives, Elion Hill, and Padrol Tower. Now, I do recognise these. These are locations that we are introduced to in the core rules. So this is an opportunity to actually get a little bit more information about these locations. Players will find brand new character options to ensure that their experience of Emerta Valo and the wider Dreams and Machines universe remains fresh and unique with each passing adventure. Dive into your next adventure as a message-carrying courier, or a teller, an undisputed master of history and recounter of mysterious tales. Okay, so 5 new locations for you to explore, rendered in all their detail so games masters can slide them seamlessly into new or existing campaign settings. A complete guide on how to use the new urban exploration rules so that you can personalize your adventures into the City of Sighs. 2 new archetypes, the Courier and the Teller, as well as over 40 brand new talents and guidance on both secret truths and hidden talents to help make your next character as unique and exciting as the world of Era Prime. And a whole host of new glyphs, weapons, armor and clothing, tools and vehicles for you to outfit your player characters with. Dare you enter the ruins of the City of Sighs? Alright, interesting. Good evening, Craig. Thank you so much for joining us. We do all of our shows live, and then of course you can catch up after the fact. So as I go through this, if you have any questions, feel free, put them into the chat, and I'll do my best to highlight the point, but you're seeing it live with me as I am at the same time. Before we get started, this is of course from Modiphius Entertainment, and we've become accustomed to the quality of the books that they produce. So this is a nice hard-backed book. How many pages do we have? Let's have a quick scan. I think it's 118 in this one. Yes, there we go. 118 in total. We've got some really nice artwork to enjoy. The font and the graphic design is very, very clear, so it's very easy to find elements and to read without any issue. I very much appreciate that. We've got nice art throughout the book, in the style, of course, that Dreams and Machines has already established. So we have these little elements where it looks as if this is part of a sort of scrapbook, and we have little bits of sticky tape putting in elements of the world and little notes written, which I quite like. It's very different, it's very unique. Here we go. I like these. This is good fun. So it absolutely follows that same sort of design that we've already experienced. If you already playing Dreams and Machines, this is going to be incredibly familiar. It just continues where you left off, and of course that's the most important part of this book and the campaign book. These are essentially the first additions to the Dreams and Machines universe since the core rules and starter set, so this is quite exciting. We do of course have a large number of people who are involved in creating these books, but what I always like about Modiphius books is they always have a page that tells you exactly what is going to be in each of the chapters, and I find that really useful. And in fact, it breaks it down even further. I was looking just before we started the show at the campaign book, and they have essentially a summary of what's going to happen in each section of the game adventure, which I thought was really, really useful. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So what do we have? We have 6 chapters. We have an introduction, which is what we're going to look at right now. We have our locations, so write-ups on 3 key locations touched on in the core books. So this is the Deep Woods Archive, Elion Hill, and Padrol Tower. We then got the region of Emerta Valo. Valo. It's going to be Valo, monkey. It's going to be Valo. This chapter covers the expanse of Emerta Valo with a map and a breakdown of many interesting locations. That's where we'll spend most of our time. We then have the city of Emerta. Chapter discovers the jaw-dropping city of Emerta with a full map and many locations of note in the city of Sighs. Why is it called the City of Sighs? I guess we will find out. Steel and Stone. This chapter offers up many new options, including new archetypes and equipment and rules for hidden truths. And then we have Urban Hexploration. This chapter covers expanded rules for the Hexploration campaign set entirely within a major city. So now, I think the core rules had rules for exploring the wilderness. Now we change those rules for a urban environment. So that's going to be interesting. All right. So we're going to get a little bit of background about this city, and I thought that the obviously the artwork on the front gives us a little bit of a tease, because of course this city is the sort of idea of a classical futuristic city. Look at this, the size of these city skyscrapers reaching up into the heavens with interconnected walkways or possibly even tunnels for vehicles, even up on the 200th floor or plus. So it's a very, very futuristic cityscape, which is quite exciting. Of course, this is essentially a modern ruin in this setting within Dreams and Machines. So, as it says, during the war, these cities became brutal battlegrounds across the builders' mechs, destroying every human they came across. Makes me think a little bit, even though it's I suppose a modern day. What's that film with Will Smith? I Am Legend, with the vampire. The fact that he's going around a completely deserted city. So we've got to imagine that, but a futuristic setting. What's a good futuristic city that we've seen in movies or in TV shows? What's a good example? Because I always find that when we watch something in films, helps try and get your players into the right sort of frame of mind. And essentially this is basically just going through, this introduction is just going through what I just initially read. So talking about the actual region of Emerta Valo, and then the city of Emerta, which I'm going to take that is a diagram of the city. It's one of these sort of concentric circled cities, a little bit like, what is it? It's depicted in Star Trek Nemesis, the Romulan homeworld, and they have the main city that they visit. That's very similar. So we have our locations, and these are more detailed write-ups on some of the locations that were featured in the core book. So as we said, it's the Deep Woods Archive, Elion Hill, and Padrol Tower. So a spear cell and 2 archivist settlements. These locations offer many potential adventure seeds and memorable new NPCs for player characters to interact with. So what do we get? We get a little bit of history about the location. We get a map, again done in the style of how they present maps in the game. So it looks, I don't want to say it looks childlike, because that's not the idea, but it looks very sort of basically drawn, isn't it? Again, this is a civilization that pretty much got knocked back and has been rebuilt. So they don't have the same high level of technology. This is a quick drawing on a scrap of paper. And what it does then is it breaks down. We've got a variety of different location points here, detailed, and then it goes into some of the detail on these. Tells us a little bit about some of the people that we might find at this location, and then gives us some story seeds that maybe this is where adventures could be woven into this location. So, as it says, the Deep Woods Archive is a thriving community with growing subcultures, but is vulnerable and depends on good connections with other settlements to survive. So, maybe a possible idea for adventure. Will the council support... Oh, hang on, we're jumping ahead here. How will the rivalry with Padrol Tower play out? Can Estro summon enough support to bring Buran into line, or will this be the tipping point for his leadership of Deepwoods? These are 2 characters that I mentioned in the people section. So following on, will the council support him, or will Estro foster a coup behind the scenes? Will the diversity of Deepwoods continue to be beneficial, or will someone use it to drive a wedge through the community for their own nefarious purposes? Okay, so we've got some ideas that we could create an adventure out in this specific location. And essentially, it's a similar setup for the other of these 3 key locations. So this is Elion Hill. And I did go and look in the core book to actually go and find these locations. So they are there, obviously, on the main map. So it was good to sort of find them. I'm not going to grab that. Again, players who have already started to explore Dreams and Machines will be aware of these locations, because they were mentioned and you could explore them in so much as they are a location on the map that players could go to. But now we've got some more detail for our players and for the games masters to use. And finally we got this Padrol Tower. So standing to the north of New Musgrove. Yeah, we've got another little map. A couple of locations here, giving us some information about the place. And the people are there, and again, some stories. So we're getting a little bit more info to work with there. So we then get presented with a wonderful piece of art, and I really like these sort of slightly three-dimensional perspective maps that they present for the landscape. So this is the region of Emerta Valo, and this is the city itself up in the corner. We'll explore that in more detail. But I really enjoyed looking through this and looking at all the little details that are there and sort of questioning, what's here? What does this mean? What was it used for in the past? Because of course this is now a long time since the Builders' War and everything has been slightly more overgrown, nature taking over. We do have some solitary machines standing in wait. What's this? And that's the great thing about this, is that we, as we jump on in, we can actually find out what it is. So, Inferno's Gate. So as it says, far to the north of New Musgrove, the region of Emerta Valo is dominated by the Furiosa River. Okay, is that going to be this here? I guess it is. This is seems to be a bit of a map for the water network, which cuts the valley in half. Oh gosh, between the Castilian cliffs to the south and the Emerta Plateau to the north. Flows through the region's lakes. And it mentions all the lakes there. And then from here it rushes into the algae bloom depths of Nigraco, the black water, and the sulphurous outpourings of Fair Akov, water of fire. And finally calm as it flows through Sangalago, the lake of snakes. My goodness. Again, this is what I really enjoy about this particular game, is that I've got no frame of reference for anything that it's introducing me to. So it's all new, it's all, well, okay, what is this? And you really do feel as if you are truly exploring a brand new area. So, largely untouched by the worst ravages of the war, Emerta Valo still shows many signs of decay. Ancient buildings are overgrown and hidden by dust and earth. The canals of the City of Sighs, I still want to know why it's called the City of Sighs. Emerta on the plateau to the northeast continue to replenish themselves, and this water flows down the broken canals and floods the plain to the east of the Stoneback Hills. This land is marshy and infested with all sorts of nasty creatures. Like it. So let's take a look here. We do have everything detailed. What interesting things can we find? Number 3 is a canyon cave settlement just here built. Looks like a claw, doesn't it? A raptor, a bird's claw. Now, one slight disappointment. We have obviously a double-page spread here for this region, but there's no fold-out map. I would have really liked that, because I would want to put that down on the table so that my players can take a look and, of course, start to doing exactly what we're doing now, trying to work out what all these different areas are. I think that you obviously, in the digital version, as a PDF, you could possibly take this and print it out, but it would have been nice to have a large map to be able to unfold on the table. And we've seen, of course, in other books where we might have a map for the players and then a map for the games master, which has a key and it has various information that's useful for the games master as well. But there we go. Number 6. We've got a statue of Anand Savanto. Who's that? So that's interesting. Number 9 is the Great Ramp. We found out that number 12 was Inferno's Gate. Number 17, Bridgetown. Where's that? I feel like that should be around... Yes, here we go. Near the water, isn't it? 24, Deep Vault. Now that's going to be something of the past, isn't it? I can't find 24. There it is. There it is. So we'll have to remember some of these. So as we go through, basically, all of the locations, we got a little piece of text on each of these. So what did we find? We found that statue, isn't it? So far to the north of New Musgrove, atop a looming hill known as Camello Rise, stands the statue of Anand Savanto, half a mile high and standing on an artificially built mountaintop. It can be seen from nearly 50 kilometers away, arms outstretched towards the city of Emerta. Half a mile high. See again, this wonderful futuristic setting where what seems to be impossible can be achieved, or it was initially. And now, of course, it stands there as a ruin for our players to discover. That's quite amazing. Let's have a look at, was it number 12? Inferno's Gate. So grabbers and spears always said there was a second Hell's Gate further to the north, but no one believed them. However, here it is, a great metal hatch in the ground, except this time the 100-meter wide doors are open and have been open for a very long time. Looking into them is a deeply disturbing thing to do. Inside is nothing but a perfect hole drilled into the ground, going down and down and down, a bottomless pit. Some people have inevitably slipped and fallen in, while others have been thrown or pushed. On a quiet day, if you listen very carefully, you can hear the voices of the fallen calling back, saying, "Join us." Now, that's cool. This is Inferno's Gate. That's cool. So I like that. My only, again, little niggle is, well, where does that go? What do we do with it? It would be nice to have a little bit more info. All of these descriptions are essentially a jumping off point. Now, I suppose this is the plus and the minus. The minus for me is I want to know more. And if that was the start of a little dungeon explore, then I want to see, well, what's there and have a little section on it. But by not providing that, then of course it's completely down to the games master to create what is this Inferno's Gate. And of course it's then down to their imagination, and it can be whatever they want it to be. So it makes your tables, games of Dreams and Machine very much your own. And I guess that is a positive for sure. It means that not the same, no two games masters will run the same game in this location, because it's their imaginations that are going to take this in different ways. So I guess it depends on the individuals and the group whether you like this little teasers and for you to develop, or whether you wanted more to be able to work from it within the actual book as a start. This was something that, having looked at Forbidden Lands, their adventure sites, where it would have areas for you to go and visit, but it would then have individual maps for little dungeons that you might want to explore. So I guess I can see both sort of points of view on that. So, as it promised, we then have a more detailed image of the city of Emerta. Again, it's these concentric circles with canals. There are various bridges. Most of them look as if they are destroyed. So how does one get into the city? Well, it does explain. Looks as if various bombs went off here. Roger, you're saying very cool city map. You like the perspective? Yes. Yes. Well, we commented on this before, wasn't it? This sort of slightly three-dimensional looking on into the map. It reminds me very much of a video game style of map, and I know that this particular game, there have been many comments where they liken it to a certain PlayStation game. This could have been the role-playing game that was not. So yeah. And in fact, actually, getting hold of these books inspired me to go and play that game. And I've been thoroughly enjoying it. And in fact, actually, playing the game has helped me sort of try and visualize some of these elements that are being presented here within this setting guide. So I spoke before of what would be an ideal example of a futuristic city in movies or a TV show, but actually you might find some inspiration in a video game to be able to give you some sort of creative direction that you might want to go in, building upon the sort of the little seeds that this book provides. Craig, you're saying yes, it's HZD inspired. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, there's no getting away from that. I got to admit, it's eerily similar. It really is. Really is. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think it is at all. And I think that, if you are a fan of the game, then you could use it to help you sort of visualize some of these things. So here we go. What do we have? So again, follows exactly the same format. We've got the city detailed. We've got a bit of a key here. We've got the water canal networks shown here. And then we have all of the locations all detailed in just a couple of paragraphs worth on each one. To which, as we've already mentioned, it's down to the Games Master to expand upon these. Any one of these could be a little a building or an area that you could create your map for and then go for a bit of a dungeon crawl, yes? The only, as I say, the only negative is it's for you to go and create it. Then, of course, that could be a positive because it's completely up to you. So there's lots of digital maps and floor plans, and even hard copy ones. Our friends at Loki Battle Mats, they do a range of sci-fi maps that you could potentially use within this setting. Let's see if we can find something. Here we go. The Long Mile, a stretch of the city paved with shining, bejeweled paths and filled with glitzy entertainments, flashing signs and shining casinos. However, while the lights still glow and the streets still sing, the place is devoid of life. Instead, it is infested by a plethora of nanogeists, nano-wisps, and genius loci, all acting out the life that would have been here before the war. Where they came from, no one knows, but a wise grabber avoids the long mile. So that's interesting. So it's a dead Las Vegas, but it's a techno Las Vegas, isn't it? And what might we find there? What might be of use? We got an observatory. We got some towers. Again, you know, this artwork is all really, really nice. It gives you a little bit to try and inspire. Planetarium, theatre district. The Tower of Towers, the tallest building in the city at 7 kilometers high. The Tower of Towers was home to Emerta's great and good. Many were killed when the top third of the tower was sliced away in the last moments of the war, and fell slowly to the streets of, oh gosh, Novi Ganto, where it crumpled onto the ground. Amazingly, some parts of this fallen structure are still almost intact among the wreckage. Few have explored this tower, but there's a bet among veteran grabbers as to who will be to the very top. You could spend an entire series of nights just doing that one location. And that'd be quite something, wouldn't it? Doing all the floors. That would actually be a lot of fun. But just literally that one locale. Or even so much the part of the tower that has collapsed onto the actual city. That's number 25. So let's I'm doing a lot of back and two. There it is, 25. Can we actually see it clearly? So these are the towers here. So we can't see where it collapsed. It must be around this area. One thing I did see, most of the bridges have been taken out. I think there's a bridge here that's still active. So again, it's very nice to be able to try and zoom on in and have a look and see the details. There's a lot of detail here. Again, some nice poster map would have been fantastic, because again, players would have just loved to scrutinize. Over here, it looks as if it's a fallen tower block, and it does give a little bit of information on that. So let me just have a look. Number 2, Timo Passi. Let's go with that. I am, of course, getting all the names wrong. You guys know that I do that all the time. So on the western outskirts of Emerta lies the remains of the fallen tower of Timo Passi. Now it forms a precarious ruined bridge across the dangerous waters of the city's canals. The spears call it Timo Passi, fear to tread, for the tower is infested with cryptids, and while bridging the canal this way will keep your feet dry, it isn't without danger. So again, this makes me think of a sequence in video game The Last of Us, when you are going across cranes from one top of a skyscraper to another. So, not quite the same, but you get the idea. And I think this would be fantastic. You've basically got rooms that are at a 90-degree angle that are all still complete with everything all on I guess it'd be on a wall, wouldn't it? And you've got obviously all these cryptids infesting it, and you've got to basically fight your way through, or sneak your way through, depending how you're playing. So I like all of this. This is good. This is really good. Okay, and so that ultimately, that is a look then at the region and at the city itself. And what do we have? We have some 20, near 30 locations per each of these. Let's just have a quick look. Yep. So that's 60 different unique locations within the region and within the city. So steel and stone. So these are more rules to basically enhance the game. And as it said, we have 2 new archetypes. The courier. So you're one of the bold and daring people who brave the wilderness to carry messages and urgent supplies from community to community. Many settlements would sooner trust a courier's bag than to risk a radio signal, but a good courier knows that they're taking a risk every time they make a run. Again, I always think back at movies. This reminds me, what's that film? Is it called The Postman? And it's set in, I suppose, what would be the 1800s in the US. Is it Tom Hanks or Kevin Costner? I think it's Tom Hanks. But basically, on horseback, carrying mail from one small town to another. This is that futuristic version, which of course on a spokeless bicycle. So yeah, it makes sense to me, I guess. And then we have the teller. The culture, traditions, and knowledge of a people are deeply entwined with the stories they tell and the songs they sing. The value of entertainers, especially musicians and storytellers, is immense for their ability to convey the deepest truths of a society in ways that endure more readily than hard facts alone. So even though there's a very futuristic style to this, we are talking about effectively primitive peoples, primitive tribes, and history is passed on by telling of stories around a fire, or the simple passing of messages from one town to another, because I imagine that the distances between settlements are quite large. So these are 2 interesting different archetypes that you might want to go for. What do you guys think? Craig, am I right to think that you are a player of Dreams and Machines? Do you like these 2 new archetypes? Is this something that you would go for? What do we have? We have some new talents. A fixer. Well, actually, sorry. These talents are for the different archetypes, aren't they? So what do we have? Best of friends and frenemies for the fixer. Deep pockets and salvage and scavenge for the gatherer. Eye on the prize for the grabber. Bulwark and suppressing fire for the guardian. And then mediator for healer's hands. You bought the game and you're looking to run it. Ah, right, okay, so you haven't quite got to the table yet. Then we have some tech, medtech, and modular armaments. You can quickly create modifications and attachments for weapons. These add-ons are short-lived, but they can mean the difference between victory and defeat if used cleverly. Is this some kind of Doc Ock exoskeleton? The archetypes look cool and they seem thematic. Yes, yes. again, it's interesting how this, even though they are, it's difficult to say because they are primitive, but with a lot of technology, whereas our other sort of inspiration, they had gone with very primitive and using scrap effectively. But this setting, of course, everybody seems to be okay with the technology to a certain degree. We got additional talents: adventurous, carry on regardless, fight for each other, just a scratch. Bit of a Monty Python reference there, I think. Spray and pray. When you make a ranged attack with a weapon with a burst trait, you may hit additional targets even if they are not part of a mob. Yes, I am that good. And then we have secret truths and hidden talents. So this is interesting. So, in Dreams of Machines, you can incorporate secret truths and hidden talents into the creation and growth of your character. These allow you to leave some things about your character unrevealed at the start of the game, so that you can fill in the blanks later on with revelations about those aspects. So this is cool. This allows you to have something that maybe you're thinking about for your character, and as it comes out in play, you can reveal a secret truth. But I think you do have to then create a new one. So your character begins the game with one secret truth, a type of personal truth. You define this secret truth during gameplay when your character confronts a situation you feel would bring the truth to the surface. Okay. So at first, this truth is I have a secret. And then you modify difficulty. Okay, that's cool. When you reveal a secret truth to modify a task, you must declare your choice before you roll. After you define one of your secret truths, you might decide to pick up another one. So that's kind of cool that you can have these truths and you can let them develop. Maybe you're definitely a multi-layered character in that case. It's not all obvious right from the start. Like an onion, you've got layers. And the truths, hidden talents work in a similar way. So you declare hidden talents during gameplay in response to circumstances a talent could affect. Craig is saying it's a nice way to build a character via gameplay. Yeah, it's reminding me of something that I saw in the Star Trek game that Modiphius do, where you develop your character through actual play. So, but this, one thing about Dreams of Machines is it's definitely a much easier version of their 2D20 system. So, but I like this, and the way that it presents itself, it's very, very easy. So ultimately, you can essentially give yourself a little bit of a win by having this secret truth, and as an event happens, you can bring it out in play and say, yes, this is something that I used to be a locksmith, and so I can actually undo this lock nice and easy. Back in my past, yeah, I like it. What do we have? New glyphs. This is... am I right in thinking glyphs are the Dreams Machine equivalent of magic? But of course it's in a technological type of way, isn't it? Using, I guess, augmented reality. So what do we have? Admin, advanced, baffle. Here we go. Upon seeing the glyph, the machine's navigation and pathing is scrambled. It will move randomly for the next minute or so until it reboots its navigation systems. That's cool. This reminds me of, oh gosh, the toy that I always wanted that I never got. Big Track. So You have to program into Big Track its directions, and then you'd set it on its way. This baffle would confuse it. I'm definitely going back to the 80s there for Big Track. What else do we have? Factory, reverse. So these, of course, control the machines. Essentially, it's a way of coding, isn't it? Getting into their programming. So, factory. Upon seeing the glyph, the machine immediately purges any data received since it was first activated and reverts to its original factory programming, which removes any corrupted instructions from the builder, though it does not prevent the machine from being corrupted again. Yeah. That's it, Craig. More tech than magic. Messing with the machines with ancient admin commands. Yes, yes, definitely so. Yeah, it's all for the machines, isn't it? Reprogramming them again without having to use a staff, because you have your reprogramming tool. So what else do we have? Oh, is it talking about combining glyphs? So in original form, glyphs were designed to be combined, layered over one another in complex interlocking patterns of instruction. That's cool. I think you could have a lot of fun with this. See, that's one thing that I'm hoping that they will do at some point. I'd like to see it's not quite a settings guide, but I think it would fall into that sort of classification. But a book basically on the machines. I'd like them to spend some time to really go into some detail on them. I think that the machines are potentially the star, aren't they? And we need to get a bit more depth on them. New equipment. What else do we have here? We got handmade weapons, security weapons, military weapons, a dark matter blaster. And various bombs and mines. Oh, okay, so this is basically looking at those charts, but we're getting a bit more detail on each of them. Because we have our dark matter blaster here. Yeah, narrow stream of radiation and exotic subatomic particles. Yeah, I don't think you'd want to stand in the way of that. Gravity mine, nanotanglers, seeking grenade launcher. Singularity projector. But that looks spookily like some kind of device from Portal. It looks like a portal gun to me. So Craig, you're saying a tech guide would be cool. More tech and machines, more detail on the builder. Yes. Again, I can see sort of both sides. I like the fact that the game gives hints and it's then for the games master to create, and so that the builder and the machines can be whatever they want it to be. But then by the other side is I'd like sometimes to be provided for me, because maybe I see something and that triggers my imagination to go and create my own. So, and then sometimes you might want to be able to just say, hey, I need to have a quick machine here. I'm going to grab that from the book and throw it on in, and all the details have already been done for you. And also having some illustrations. I think that would go a long way, really would. Various weapons, bombs, equipment, armor and clothing, pilot suits and rescue gear, juggernaut armor. Stealth suit. I actually got a stealth suit last night in that other game that can't be mentioned. Rigs and armor attachments. A nano... what the hell's that? A nanogram swarm normally installed on an armoured vambrace or gauntlet, which is pre-programmed to take the form of a shield or barricade. Oh wow! It's a bit of Iron Man tech. Ooh, spider rig, okay. I'm going to move past that. Okay, so there's a lot of cool items here, isn't there? Tools to find. So this is good. This is good because, of course, we're in a city environment, so we're going, and it's, as it described, it's mostly been untouched by the ravages of the war. It's just time has taken over. So a lot of this stuff, you know, might be found in lockers or storage dumps. And then, of course, we got vehicles. So what do we have? We've got vehicle qualities. Cumbersome, high performance, hover, resilient, road speed, rugged, single seat, tough. Cargo sled, family barge, grav sled, road bike. Again, it's no illustrations, but opportunity for you to make them your own. And then finally, this is the urban exploration. So now we're pointing out here, so this section offers a full city-based alteration to the core exploration rules presented in the Dreams and Machines Games Master Toolkit. That's where I'd seen it from. So you don't need to have that to take advantage of these rules, but of course, as I was explaining before, this is effectively a micro version of what was the macro version. So whereas, and it does explain, so while hexes in the wilderness are 10 kilometers across, an urban hex is a kilometer across. So this is your wilderness hex, and these are your urban hexes. And it's that simple, really. So you wouldn't need to get the Games Master Toolkit if you wasn't inclined to do so. You could use these rules and just expand it out. Of course, exploring a city, you are going to go slower, and there's going to be so much more to find within one hex worth of that city by comparison to being out in the wilderness. So, details on traveling speeds, types of terrain, different features. So we got advanced tech, hazards, and I think, oh, this is quite cool. Is there a roll table on this? Because you guys know how much I enjoy roll tables. Where's the is there a map? I want to jump to the end here a little bit, because I think that might help. Here we go. So we got random encounters. This is what I saw. So we can roll d20 for what type of encounter. Subtypes. obstacle encounter subtypes. So there's lots of roll tables here, which is quite good. Discovery encounters, a hidden fortress or an ancient ruin. PCs encounter ruins left behind by ancient people. These ruins might be mundane relics of the pre-war world, or something more esoteric and unusual, unknown even to the world before the war. That's cool. Encounter locations. And then when we meet people, whether they are hostile or neutral or suspicious. Types of weather. So, that's all really good. I like that. And resources that you might find. And what's in a hex? So each hex may be populated with anything that suits your adventure or that the player characters need. You can determine each hex contents in advance when you create your map, or you and your players can discover an area's contents each time your PCs enter a new hex. So I guess you just need to get yourself some, obviously some hex paper, and then actually roll it out as you're exploring. I think that could be a lot of fun. And then we can take things from this list. Ah, okay, so rare location, and then we get the spaceport or a hospital, military base. Now, does it give us any indication what we might do with each of those? We do have a whole variety of different location types. So military base, that was in the rare, wasn't it? So was the hospital. Ancient spaceport. So barren. So yeah, I think this is quite cool. I like this. I think we could have a lot of fun with it. Again, it's going to be down to the creativity of the games master and also the players as well. Because maybe there's an idea here that the players, as they are going out and discovering these lands, maybe they are creating the map. Maybe that's why they have left their settlement, to go out and venture and to report back what they discover. So I think that could be a lot of fun. Getting lost. Yeah, that'd be me. What do you think, Craig? Do you think, would you be creating your map as you play? Let's have a look at Plaza. Let's see what the Plaza. So a large open space arranged with seating and decorative features such as fountains, plants and statues, often used for public events. These spaces have considerable visibility, few large permanent structures or obstructions, allowing fast movement and clear lines of sight, with a little risk of ambushes, but also few places to hide should enemies arrive. You love this. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah. So would you create your map with your players, or would you have one pre-done? Again, what might have been handy is to see an example. I think all of this is really, really good, and if this, you know, if they're aiming this at being at people who are not necessarily familiar with role playing, and this is their first introduction to it, then I think leaning on in and having more visual examples, I think would go a long way. The rules and what they're explaining here, really easy, but it always helps to have something visual. This could have been an example here, as opposed to obviously a nice illustration of one of the machines, but hey, let's see hex being drawn, the various hexes being drawn up of the different terrains that a potential group of players have discovered. So Craig, you're saying I might generate a few before the game, but otherwise would let it build. Yeah, I agree. Or to have a rough idea of kind of what you want. Maybe there's certain key locations that you've already predetermined, because that's the type of adventurous story you're wanting to do, but allow the players then to create the ones around the edges. I think that might be a good idea. Because in essence, again, thinking of a game, you just got these lots of little bits of travelling, and it was an adventure side, and another adventure side, and another adventure side. Yeah. When you put games like this into a video game sort of context, it's really easy to sort of visualise how you might put things together. So there we go. I think that's pretty much it. As you can see, this is just everything you need as far as doing the hexploration, as they call it. And we do like all of these roll tables. Always good fun. I certainly enjoy them. So there we go. I think that pretty much sums it up. That is Dreams and Machines, Emerta Valo, the setting guide. I think this is a worthwhile addition to the Dreams and Machines game. Obviously, being the first new region to explore, it's the brand new expansion pack, isn't it, for the game? And that being the case, if you've already bought on into the Dreams and Machines idea, you're going to want to have this. You're going to want a new region to explore. As we've discovered looking through, there is some work for you as the games master to bring these places to life in a bit more detail than what the book provides. It gives you the idea for you to be able to build upon, which is a blessing and a curse, as we've already discussed. If you are up for the challenge and want to have that freedom, then that is absolutely great. But if you wanted to be able to take something and run with it straight away, unfortunately, it's not quite where this is at. You're going to have to spend a little bit of time creating it. We've got 2 new archetypes in there. We've got plenty of armors and weapons and outfits, and as we saw right at the end, we've got some rules for exploration map building, which I think would be a lot of fun. I think I will really enjoy that. So there you go. That is Dreams and Machines, Emerta Valo, the setting guide. Craig is saying, are you going to look at the new campaign book? Well, there you go. We did say at the beginning of the show, that is the book we are going to take a look at on Wednesday evening. Now, I don't think we had any spoilers really in this one. This is going to be spoilers throughout. So if you are intending to play it as a player, then you might just want to watch the initial intro and then sort of tap out. But as a games master, yeah, you stay and we'll take a look through. And if you have any questions, then please let me know in the chat and we'll do what we can. All right. There we go. So in fact, I think I've jumped ahead of myself, haven't I? That's what we'll be looking at on Wednesday. Craig, you're saying nice. I assume you're going to join us on Wednesday then, if you can, and take a look. So, well, thank you, Craig. Thank you, Roger, for joining us this evening. And, of course, our thanks to Modiphius Entertainment for providing both books for us to explore tonight. look forward to seeing you then on Wednesday as we continue our exploration in the world of Dreams and Machines. But until then, bye for now.